Thanks to our sponsor DoneDeal.ie, we bring you Business Bites, the best bits of that great business show served up in individual servings.
DoneDeal Motors is home to Ireland's largest range of new and premium used cars. That's why you'll find cars from Audi and BMW dealerships on DoneDeal. Are you looking for a 7-seater to accommodate your growing family? Maybe you're after a luxury saloon to make a statement. We have the car for you. You'll also find Ireland's largest range of electric cars to help you make the switch. Visit donedeal.ie today to start the search for your next car.
From episode 139, Go Wild magazine boss Bobby Power explains how you can grow and retain your team by decentralizing overseas. And he tells us of his own international plans.
That great business show.
A recurring theme in staying in business or growing a business is to go niche. That goes for the printed word, where the Irish Farmers Journal continues to defy gravity, affecting mainstream newspapers. Similarly, in the UK, gossip magazine Private Eye keeps growing its sales substantially. And then there's Go Wild magazines, an almost decade-old niche Irish publisher that has just launched its latest title, The Irish Abroad Vancouver, celebrating the success of Irish entrepreneurs abroad. Go Wild's business model is most interesting and is being repeated by many other sectors such as accountancy and IT firms. COVID has decentralized the business, so boss Bobby Power, former Limerick leader sales manager, has to oversee a team based in Vancouver, Northern Ireland, London, Dublin and Spain. And your business could do that right the same. Bobby Power, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you, Gunn. Pleasure to be here.
Tell us about decentralizing as you or I have just described.
Okay, well, the decentralization of Go Wild, I suppose it started initially, Conal, when we first set up the company, in that I couldn't afford to hire people, all right? So basically I had to hire in contractors. So we hired in people for editorial, people for design, and we kind of grew it. We went from one magazine back in 2014 to 3 magazines in 2016. And I noticed in that period that, we were using the same team for editorials, for design, and it was all working on basically a project basis. So everybody did amazing work. Everybody did absolutely brilliant jobs. And everybody got extremely well paid. And, everybody was very happy. I was happy. So it just meant that we came together, did the project. The project went on sale. Well, at the time it was free, but the project had a pause to the next one. And then we all came back together again and did the next one. And then it just happened. It was like bringing a soccer team together for a match.
Well, that's fine and dandy, except the problems with time. You mentioned that you've got people in Vancouver, you've got people in Spain, etc. Trying to bring the soccer team together. Normally they're all in the same stadium or wherever together, but not all over the world.
True. Okay. Well, to get around that, okay, Dave Curtin, who was our chief designer from the very outset, because Dave used to work with me in the Limerick Leader. He then moved to Vancouver. We were in our second year when he moved to Vancouver. And Dave said, well, look, he was going to continue to be the chief designer, which is great. So Dave is 8 hours behind me. So that meant that anything that I needed to get done, if a client said to me, look, Bob, I need to get this ad designed, I go, okay, look, we'll have it for you first thing in the morning. I was sending that to Dave at just say 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So Dave was getting that at 8 a.m. his time. He was sending it back to me, so that I was sending it back to the client at 9 a.m. the following morning.
That's working rather nicely for you, all right?
Yeah, that worked really well, yeah.
So you're lucky there. Now, what about trying to spread it any further out? Because we frequently have people on the show now who are in IT, and they've got people in South Africa, and they've got people in Australia. I had Fergal Lawler of Alpha Wireless on episode 138, and he's got people all over the world. And it's a constant issue or a problem. I did ask him whether he works 25 hours a day. He denied doing so, but I think he does.
Maybe. Well, look, I use Dropbox a lot, Conal, in that Dropbox, we've a streamlined system set up, which it wasn't designed by anybody. It's designed by me to be as easy as possible for everyone to take part in, right? So everybody has a share in the folder. Everybody can, the editors have a share of the editorial folder. The designers have a share of the design folder. So it all works quite well. So I kind of oversee all of the folders. So I have to make sure that we also use a system called Blink Plan, which is a magazine layout, which is a fantastic system. Everybody can see that. So that if I make a change to a page, just say I put in a full page picture of Conal O'Moran, everybody will see that at the same time. They'll get a notification that Bobby's changed page 14.
And worldwide, you'll hear a groan.
Yeah, but it works. So look, it works really well. Our system is extremely good. Everything is detailed. When the designers do go in to start the design process, I don't actually have to speak directly with them unless it's some issue that I want to get across in terms of page layout or something. But they just they know at this point what they've got to do, and they just do it.
And the death of print seems to have been overstated, because not alone have you grown your number of magazines, and you sent me through some physical ones, and they really are nice. They are very, very attractive, but you're also going to grow that staple as well. Just talk to me. This week you launched your Vancouver magazine. Why Vancouver? How did you come up with the idea? And who is featured in it?
Right. Well, the Vancouver magazine started with a trip to see my daughter Louise in Kelowna. And while I was there, I couldn't get over the amount of Irish who I met, who were all running very successful businesses in Kelowna. And, I was only there for a week, and, I was blown away by the kindness and the spirit that they all had to, carve their own niche. I mean, my daughter, is self-employed, but she rents a chair in a salon, and she's doing really well as well. So when I came home, I kind of thought, they've all gone out there and they've carved their own niche in a world that, hundreds of Irish have done for years, but to see it in action, I said, that's not been celebrated. So I waited 3 months, and I saw a gap between what we were doing in the Go Wild. And I said, look, I spoke to the team, and I said, look, guys, I'm thinking of this idea to celebrate the success of Irish people abroad. So I connected with the Department of Foreign Affairs, first of all. Then I connected with the Vancouver Irish Chamber of Commerce, and we had a few Zoom call meetings. And they then, I became a member of the chamber, and I was able to get the list of members. And then I started contacting members to see who would like to take part. And then 5 of them took part. I mean, one of them, all of their stories are absolutely amazing. They're mind-blowing stories in terms of how to build a business in Canada. But one of them, I suppose, in particular would be William Donnellan from Galway. He runs the IRL group in Canada, as well as running 5 Irish pubs. Now, he went there, I believe, as a plasterer, and saw a niche in the market over there to hire people to work on construction sites. And now he has this absolutely ginormous business going in Vancouver. So these people all agreed to be interviewed, talk about their journey in terms of how they got started, how they, got accepted and got into the whole Vancouver vibe and business. And my team produced it. And we then added a lot of Vancouver tourism into it as well to showcase Vancouver to an Irish audience. So we produced the magazine, and the magazine is now on sale nationwide in Ireland. At
just shy of £6 a copy, if I remember.
Yes, correct.
And what is the business model? Where are you going to sell that?
It's on sale in Dunn's, Tesco, Eason's, SuperValu, Central, Mace and Londis stores nationwide.
And is the hope on your part that people who know people in Vancouver buy it? Again, we're talking niche here. Not everybody knows people in Vancouver.
No, it's very niche, but it does have, well, I suppose one of the attractions of it, Conal, is that there's probably 2/3 of it is Vancouver tourism. So anybody who has an interest in, travel will see, there's a lot of Vancouver information in there. So that might be an option for them to consider, going forward. But I have had the response to the parents and the cousins. And we had one lovely story, which if you don't mind, I'm just going to tell you. I got a phone call on Saturday morning from a lady to say, hi, where could I get 5 copies of the Irish Abroad magazine in Cork? And I said, well, it's not going to be in Cork until Monday afternoon. It won't be available. Oh, Bob, I'm going to a wedding in Vancouver on Tuesday. And one of the guys, the groom is actually in the magazine. I said, okay. I said, look, I'm going to phone my distributor. I'm going to get him to get 5 magazines down to you by Monday morning, and you can bring them to the wedding and tell Owen it's my wedding present. right? And on Monday morning at 8:05, she got her 5 magazines.
That's a nice story.
Yeah.
But 5 times €6, even if you got the money, that's not going to keep the bailiff from the door.
No, but the model works in that, I believe €5.90 is plenty for a magazine. I have seen, a lot of other magazines on the shelves that are 11 and €12. And my pricing model, Conal, for all the magazines has been based on the fact that I think it's enough and we make a profit on the magazines.
Well, that's the all-important, isn't it? And how often can you publish? Take Vancouver. I'll get on to the other locations in a second. How often can you go Vancouver?
Well, the plan is to do Vancouver once and then do Toronto next and then do New York, then do Dubai, then do Sydney, then do Melbourne.
And don't forget Savannah. That's on my list here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Savannah. I've forgotten Savannah, yeah. Savannah's very important as well.
And what's the basis on choosing those? Obviously, they're large, very, very large cities and or locations. And is it just that you say a lot of Irish there, or have you got anything more scientific?
Well, my research, a very good friend of mine, Ronnie Dabroy in Limerick, when I told her about I was doing Vancouver, she said that you just have to do Savannah. So then she put me in touch with the tourist people in Savannah, and I've had a conversation with them, and it looks like they're very interested in taking it. So it's more about, finding the tourism board who actually want the product and then working with them to create the product.
But strictly speaking, they're one-offs. They're not going to be regular.
No, they're one-offs. I mean, it would be nice to get them into an annual stage where we do each city once a year. But if I take on too much, my wife would probably shoot me. Because I have 8 other magazines going as well. So,
well, talk to me about those ones, because they are and have been your mainstay. They have been more than bread and butter for you.
Yeah, they certainly have. Okay, well, when we started, Fáilte Ireland announced in 2014 the creation of the Wild Atlantic Way. And at the time, I was working with Hopkins Communications in Cork. And so I thought, this is a really great idea for a magazine. So I decided to set up Go Wild magazine, and we did the first one. I think the first one was 64 pages, and we did lose money on it, but I thought the idea is there to make it work. And I suppose that was the start of remote selling, in that I couldn't cover the 2,500 kilometer trip. So I had to do it all by phone. So I became a fully phone salesperson, building relationships over the phone every single day. So we started with one magazine, then we went on to the Ancient East. Then we did the food experience. And in 2018, we were in China and won a World Food Tourism Award with Gourmand for our food magazine. Then we followed that. Now, sorry, Colin, to explain, all of these were free in airports, Fáilte Ireland tourist offices and hotels.
Paid for by Tourism Ireland, was it?
No, paid for by the advertisers.
Okay.
So then in 2019, we brought in Dublin. We brought in On the Lakes. And we brought in Northern Ireland in 2020, and then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I kind of sat back and kind of said, well, okay, our model is a free model. It's in, places where people have to touch the magazine. And I spoke to hotels, and they didn't want the magazines there anymore because obviously the clients couldn't touch them with the whole COVID scare going on. So I sat back and I thought, okay, I need to rechange the model. So when we came out of COVID, I decided to make the magazines on sale. So I spoke to Menzies and I spoke to Newspread, and I said, okay, we're going to put them out there. So we scrapped the free model and we went into the paid model. And it was the best business move I've ever made.
That's interesting, isn't it? You'd almost think that is counterintuitive.
Yeah, but, it was a case of, well, we're either going to go the paid model or we're going to have to shut down because, the free option wasn't there. And sometimes, and although I appreciate, the places that stocked our magazine initially, seeing the sales in the shops now, you're kind of going, well, I should have probably done this earlier. But look, you live in there.
There's a term in stockbroking, you can never job backwards, which means don't ever look back. You can only look forward.
So look, that was part of our growth, and it took us to where we are. And, COVID gave me a lot of time to think and restructure and look at what we're doing and make every single magazine better. So, we've since launched, because of COVID, we launched our Staycation Ireland, because the word staycation pre-COVID wasn't even known. I mean, it was like an obscure word. but now it's almost like a staple word in the Irish in the language. So the staycation took off because everybody wanted a staycation immediately after COVID. So that gave us, an extra title. We then in 2022 added the Irish Spirits magazine. I discovered in March 2022 that there was only the whiskey magazines. There was no whiskey and gin. So I decided, well, it sounds like a good idea to do gin and whiskey. So we did. And then we added a Go Wild Christmas magazine. And that proved to be a success. So we're blessed, Conal, in that we've got a great team who, when I give them an idea, they can all kind of pull in together and we come up with some great concepts and some great editorials that people like.
I was delighted to hear from you that you are being supported on the whiskey one by people that we had on the podcast, Keeper's Heart. It'll be Patrick O'Shaughnessy and Brian Nation. And so there you are, as you say, you're about to go further international: Toronto, New York, Savannah, Chicago, Sydney, Melbourne, Dubai, according to my list. Yeah. If anybody listening would love their son, daughter, uncle, aunt to be featured. Now, I'll say it again, the quality of these magazines, they're real coffee table magazines. They are not your throwaway. This would sit there rather nicely for a period. How can people, I won't say apply, but how can people send in their suggestions of great business people, particularly young great business people, to you?
Very simply, Conal, and I love people who get in touch, and they can do through my own personal email address. Is bobby@gowildmagazine.com. But we do have a rule, and we've had it in every single Go Wild magazine since the start, that we feature one entrepreneur in every magazine for free. But nobody will ever know, because we don't highlight, we don't say, oh, it's advertising or it's editorial. It's just there. But I ask my team to try and find that one person who needs a leg up, and then we give them the interview, and hopefully that gives them the leg up.
But other people have got to pay, do they?
No, not all of the editorials are paid for. No, they're not. Some of them may be part of an advertising campaign, but 92% of the editorials are all based on information that we want to give out for free.
And on the New York one, I mean, you might have, and I'm only taking New York because it's a large city, you could have hundreds, maybe thousands of Irish businesses run by young Irish people who might want to be in the queue for you.
Yes, that is a possibility, and hopefully that actually comes to fruition. But, for now, I took the chance on the Irish About Vancouver to produce it. It obviously costs a lot of money to do so, but it's worth the risk, because now I have a magazine that I can send to other regions, to other cities, and say, well, look, this is what we did in Vancouver. And when you have, as you said, Conal, when you got the magazine in your hand, that created a whole different idea of what we're doing to you.
It's certainly, in terms of its pinch feel, isn't that the term? It's lovely.
Yeah.
There you go. You see, over the years, I've learned some things about the publishing business. I have to ask you two final questions, because I always have final questions. One is, you said you have become a telephone salesperson. Give us just one top tip about selling on the phone.
The easiest one is to smile.
Okay. I'm hearing it.
Always remember that the person on the other end, you may be interrupting their day. So be kind, be nice, be genuine, and be understanding, because that person could have just received the worst news in the world, and you just rang, and you're looking to take money off them. So you have to give them something. You have to give them some part of you before you can even talk about money. So you've got to say hello. You've got to have a chat. You can't just say, hi, I want to sell. Okay, that's all very well, except that you're phoning up and you say, hi, it's Bobby Power here. I want to sell you some ads. Yeah, but I mean, it's about the relationship, Conal. I ring people, like my clients have become my friends over the years. I know their kids' names, where they go on holidays. So you have a chat, and then you talk about money. But you don't have to. The worst thing anybody can do, and I see a lot of people doing it on LinkedIn, they try and sell immediately once the person connects with them. It's the worst thing you can do. Tell me the truth, Bobby. In terms of remembering people's names and kids' names and all the rest, do you keep a diary, or do you keep one of those, some kind of a digital form on people? No, Conal, I actually remembered them. I've been doing this for 25 years and my brain is trained to remember.
Listen, can I have a little bit of your brain? Because that's the bit that I miss. I'll remember what businesses they're in, and I'll know everything about the business. But come to the name, that'll kill me. Come here to me. The final question that we ask all our guests is, who would Bobby Power hire in a heartbeat?
Who would I hire in a heartbeat? Very good question. Somebody who can sell as good as I do. In terms of business, if I was to pick a business person that I think is amazing, I think Richard Branson. I can never hire him, but I love his ethos. I love the whole laid-back ethos, and I love how he builds relationships. I'm trying to think of who in Ireland.
Anybody that you've ever worked with over the years, you say, good God, if they would only come back and work with me or whatever.
Well, I learned a huge amount from Fergal Deegan in the Limerick Leader. I learned a huge amount from working with Irene Hamilton. There was a lot of people that I, competed with, and people used to think that we were competing with radio and competing, and we weren't. We were meeting up for coffee, but we were having a great crack. But everybody thought we were in competition. But I suppose I learned a little nugget from everybody. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense, yeah. And as we frequently say on That Great Business Show, so long as you're not eating somebody's lunch, they will help you. And I do understand the difference between a radio and a magazine, even though if it is all advertising. Bobby, when you are about to launch your next magazine, please do get in touch with us again. And we'll see, we might put out a call for whichever one you're going for. Is the first one going to be Toronto?
It's looking that way. I have a meeting on Monday, so hopefully that will start the ball rolling there.
Well, if it is Toronto, do tell us and we'll shout out to Toronto for you.
Perfect. Well, look, Conal, the good news is for you that you are now on the mailing list, right?
Another mailing list.
Copy of every magazine, right? Okay.
Well, I look forward to that. They really are. It's well worth. Go out there, whoever's listening, and buy the magazines. Less than £6. And in particular, if you're related to any of the people being featured, it is a lovely way of celebrating them. It's also a lovely way of celebrating Irish people in business abroad, people that we just love to our bones. So, Bobby Power of Go Wild Magazines, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thank you, Conal. I appreciate it.
Done Deal Motors is home to Ireland's largest range of new and premium used cars. That's why you'll find cars from Audi and BMW dealerships on Done Deal. Are you looking for a 7-seater to accommodate your growing family? Maybe you're after a luxury saloon to make a statement. We have the car for you. You'll also find Ireland's largest range of electric cars to help you make the switch. Visit donedeal.ie today to start the search for your next car.
De facto shaving oil, the world's best shaving oil. Made in Mayo, sold worldwide.
All That Great Business Show advertisers are Team GBS approved. Back them.
This interview was first posted on episode 139 of That Great Business Show. Essential listening for anyone interested in highlighting successful Irish entrepreneurs abroad. For more great business insights, listen back to our entire back catalogue of That